By far, the most common question I get is, Tavis, when I'm riding rails, hitting jumps, working on my freestyle tricks, should I be utilizing the ollie or the jump? But this question itself is a great indicator that how you're thinking about freestyle snowboarding has a massive misconception. So in this video, I'm going to clear up that misconception, talk about what you actually want to be focusing on, so you can go and get clean form that will work not only for rails, not only for jumps, but any single trick you could do on a snowboard. First, let's break down the differences between an ollie and a two-footed jump because it will help add a lot of context for this video. On the right here, we have a jump and you can see that I'm coming and lifting, fully extending my legs, and then I'm going to be pulling my legs up to me. This is the same as if you're trying to do a box jump. You're trying to just extend, lift your legs, and get over something. This isn't quite ideal because you're not getting maximum power off your tail. And that's why when you're doing rollers, if you want maximum height, you're going to do an ollie, because instead of going and lifting your legs up, you're using all of your energy to push down into the back tail of your snowboard, causing your board to flex, and this extra flex and length of leaving off the tail is going to give you a lot more height and a lot more power. So ollie is basically determined by how much is your board flexing past the lip of a jump. So like for this, that has almost no lip, my board's angled, so I'm getting most of my height from that extra snap of my tail, where a jump, you're getting most of the height from your legs. On the right here, we have someone who's going to utilize a jump on a backside 360, and I want you to pay attention to his board. See how it's leaving off the jump really early and his legs have the same level of extension in them? This isn't ideal because first of all, you're not getting much of a lip, and second, your weight is now completely centered in your board. And that's very inherent to the two-footed jump, is it makes it so your weight's centered, and as you take off, your weight's centered. But when we're doing a spin, we actually want to be leaving off our tail. The issue with leaving off our tail and trying to use an ollie is that an ollie is an incredibly large motion to get the board to flex and power. So look at how much I'm extending my body and getting this pop. This would make it so it'd be very hard to go and add upper body rotation, try to snap, or add any dynamics you'd need for a trick. On the right here, he actually does a really good job of maintaining tail pressure the whole way through the lip and not going and popping up early. And you can see he's actually holding more pressure on his snowboard than I am. The issue is his upper body positioning. He's taking off in this completely centered body position, and this is going to make it so he's slightly set over his front foot. Being slightly set over the front foot is going to make it so his pivot point, his axis or rotation point, isn't going to work for the trick he's doing. And that's where we want to make sure that we're maintaining tail pressure, not through timing, not through going and ollieing, but through preemptive body positioning. So on the left here, you can see that as I switch to my heel edge, I shift my weight back towards my back hip. But as I do this, I'm pulling my upper body forward. This is making it so my weight is centered, but my rotation point is going to be over that tail. And it'll also make it so as I pop up naturally, I'm leaving off the tail of my snowboard. Comparing that to this clip, we can see that his upper body is completely set over his front foot. This is going to make it so as he goes and tries to get that rotation, he's now rotating over that front foot as the access point. And not only that, it's making it so he can't leave off the tail, and we can see the tail is actually the first part that leaves and the nose is down. This is making it so he's not utilizing the lip of the feature, and if you don't utilize the lip of the feature, it's going to really drastically decrease your power. But this isn't all there is to it. If there was, on the left here, his backside 360 would have been perfect, because if we go and look at these takeoffs, they are very similar. We're both popping up, contact with the jump most of the way, same upward body position. His weight, you can also see, is very set over the tail of the snowboard. If we went and just listened to everything up until this point of this video, you'd think this is the perfect takeoff. But as he rotates, he goes and gets really funky. And that's because he's not doing a big enough trick for the takeoff he's doing. When you go and have your weight too shifted to the back foot, it's going to take time to rebalance. So this position works absolutely fantastic on something like a backside 720. I'm snapping, my rotation points over my back foot, and as I rotate, I have time to readjust and get into that landing. But because he's doing a backside 360 and over snapping, he immediately needs to utilize counter rotation to bring everything in together and start correcting that axis of rotation, making it so he's not utilizing that range of motion and he's actually really being punished for it. And this brings us to the most important part, and that is body positioning. So here, body positioning pretty similar outside of the fact that his weight is completely set over the front foot. But watch what happens as he goes and pops and expands. He pops both hips at the same time. See how both legs are completely straight? This makes it so his upper body is completely straight as well. So he's not going and staggering his leg extension. And because he's overextending, he's now having his weight completely set over the heels of his snowboard. If we compare that to mine, we're going to see some really important differences. First things first, shifted towards that back leg. As I wind up, I'm keeping it over there with my upper body centered. And we can already see the benefits. My back leg's more bent, my front leg's more extended. This makes it so as I pop up, I'm not extending both legs at the same time or the same amount. This makes it so I can go and stagger my pop, elongating it, making it so I'm channeling power through a longer duration of time. And that's not all I'm doing. I'm also making sure that my upper body is pulled into the position it wants to be in the air. And that's going to be the big difference here. I'm going and keeping enough bend in my legs, enough bend in my torso that I can cleanly snap my weight through while keeping the weight over the back foot and not extending so much that I'm out of this position. For on a frontside 360, we actually want to be landing on our toe edge, so we want to keep our weight extremely forward so our rotation point is over the balls of our feet. And that's why I come in so naturally to that toe edge, and you can see a very similar upper body angle in the landing as we had on the takeoff. Another example here is on the right, you can see he's going and jumping and extending both legs at the same time, weight completely centered in the board. This is causing the board to leave off the snow at the same time, and he's also overextending, making it so he doesn't have that nice pivot point in the upper body. Where I'm keeping more bend in my torso, more bend in my legs, and when I extend, I have the same hinge for the full duration. What lets me go and channel my power, keep my weight set over that back foot, and rotate through. The general point I'm trying to get across here is there's no one right position, there's no amount of pop, there's no amount of force you should be using. Instead, jumping comes from simplifying your motions, preemptively setting up your body so you can use as little extension and as little extra power and snap as possible. Because power and height on a snowboard doesn't come from your legs. Instead, it comes from seamlessly shifting your weight back and forth and channeling your energy through. So if you go and think about trying to do an ollie or a jump, you're missing the whole point. And there's multiple spectrums that we want to be on. For a backside 540, this is a very flexible trick because we can use counter rotation, and you can see I'm dropping my upper body, my weight is extremely shifted towards that back leg. This would be a dreadful takeoff on a back 7 or a backside 360, but because it's a backside 540, it lets me go and spot and pull it around and gives me really good consistency, even though it wouldn't be good for these other tricks. This clip is the best example. This takeoff is absolutely fantastic. It has a lot of the components needed for a really good backside 720. And if we compare it to mine, we can actually see that there's some things better about it. His board's making more contact, he's not going and leaning as much to his front foot, but because he's trying to utilize his form on a backside 360, it's way too big of a motion, so he has to spend all the time playing catch up. And here he gets almost no height because he's trying to generate it all with just his legs extending, keeping himself centered, so he's not using any of the natural dynamics of the body, the feature, to help him with the tricks. Just trying to brute force it, and this is sort of exactly how you do a backside 180 on flat ground. You extend both legs at the same time, you expend your body, and it just sort of works. But snowboarding has so many more complexities and so many more nuances that we really need to take into consideration. So this is the recap, and this is the message you should take away. First of all, we don't want to be doing a jump or a ollie. Instead, we want to have our hips slightly shifted back so we can pull our upper body forward, and that way we're having a stagger and the bend in our legs. We're having more contact with the jump because we're leaving off our tail, and that way we don't need to even worry about extending. Because if you extend out of your position that you want to be in the air, you'll need to re-enter that position, what's going to add a big time delay, and in certain situations that's going to be no good. We're always aiming for perfection on every single trick we do, but the key to achieving it is to make it so you have the biggest flexible window of acceptability as possible. So none of these clips that I'm showing, I'm doing absolute perfect form. Here, you can see that my board's coming off early, and that's because I overextend my legs a little bit. But I maintained the key principles to success, the slight hinge, the slight shift to the back foot, and then because it's a backside 360, it doesn't matter as much if I then go and shift a little bit to my front foot, keep it a little bit more centered, because it's a more flexible trick. So that's what I want you to focus on, and that's what I want you to find, is whenever you're riding, whenever you're doing motions, first locate the upper body position, bend the legs you need to do that specific trick. From there, you want to go and work your wind up, your takeoff, your snap, all while maintaining the same center of balances. Because we're not trying to go and generate through our legs, like here, trying to pop up and extend and force it around. Instead, I have my hips slightly shifted back, so I'm riding off my tail, I'm lifting my body, but not so much I'm losing my hinge. And even though I'm slightly crunched to the front foot, what's completely okay on a back free, it's able to go and come around because I'm hitting these principles good enough. So find that body position that lets you go and do these tricks in good enough. And if you need more help finding them, that's what these specific tutorials will be for like backside 360s, backside 720s, because every trick has little tweaks and little tips to make it easier. But the general census is you need this stock body position, and you never, ever want to expand yourself out of it. So do you want to ollie? Do you want to jump? You can ollie and you can jump in the right situation, but you should never go and compromise your body to do so.